It feels like the subject of today's video has been in college football forever. Not only was he a starting quarterback at Texas, but he also recently started at Nebraska. He's been in college football since 2018, and now has recently entered the transfer portal with one more year to play. You probably didn't know this, but at one time he was seen as the future of Texas football, holds the all-time record for total yards in Oklahoma high school football history, and at one point looked like he could be a big-time NFL draft prospect. Unfortunately, his career has been very interesting, and in today's video, we're going to go through what has happened to him. We're going to talk about his insane high school career, his stops at both Texas and Nebraska, and then ultimately what I think is next for him. But before we get started, be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now, let's get started. So, you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and it is none other than Casey Thompson. But in order to understand how Thompson got to this point, we first need to go back in time. Football would run in the Thompson family, as his father Charles was an Oklahoma quarterback from 1986 to 1988. He appeared in a national championship with the Sooners, and because of that, Casey and his family bled Sooner blood. Casey figured he was 6 or 7 years old the first time him and his brother would play football, as he said, quote, "He was in middle school, and he would take me and my little brother Cade to the field down the street from our house. He'd put us in full pads, get us out there, make us hit, and take us through drills." Casey was one of 3 football-playing sons in the family, and started playing football at the age of 4. His dad would train him as both a running back and a linebacker, and Casey had 2 people's footsteps to follow. His older brother Kendall would later play quarterback at both Oklahoma and Utah before moving on from football. In middle school, Casey became good friends with Drake Stoops, who played basketball with him, and even began to train with him. Eventually, Casey would arrive at local Southmore High School and started at quarterback from day one. He'd end up going insane, putting up eye-popping numbers, and gaining national recruiting buzz. He said, quote, "Urban Meyer personally texted me, Lincoln Riley texted me, and even Nick Saban texted me." After 3 years at Southmore, he would make a huge change. He decided to transfer to Newcastle High School, and this was a widely scrutinized move by many in the area. He even deleted his social media apps because he said the noise was way too much. But now, Casey would play against different competition. It was a move felt across the state, and it hurt no one, and actually shifted some power in the state according to locals. He was one of 7 players to move from Southmore to Newcastle after they hired away offensive coordinator Jeff Brickman to be their head man. Casey followed Jeff because of their shared love for the game. Thompson said, quote, "That's literally all he does. He doesn't watch TV, he doesn't go out, he doesn't listen to music, he just studies football, and I really enjoy that about him because we can relate." In his first game for Newcastle, he put on a show in front of Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator at Texas, and accounted for 7 total touchdowns and more than 400 total yards in just 3 quarters. His overall numbers were even more insane, as during his high school career, he finished with 9,829 passing yards and 107 touchdowns. It doesn't stop there though, as he also rushed for 3,011 yards and 47 touchdowns during his high school career. But where would he end up going? Well, he eventually chose Texas over Miami, North Carolina, Oregon, and Tennessee, and this was a huge get for the Longhorns. To some, this was a stab to the OU fanbase. One scout said, quote, "Most people thought there was no way the son of Charles Thompson and brother Kendall Thompson, growing up 10 miles from Oklahoma, would choose its arch rival. Why not Oklahoma? The Sooners already had 3 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster in Kyler Murray, Austin Kendall, and Chris Robeson, and I guess he wanted to do something else and start his own legacy. Plus, with only Sam Ehlinger and Shane Buechele on the roster at Texas, there may have been a quicker road to playing time with the Longhorns." His father said, quote, "We thought it ultimately was the best decision for Casey and a better fit. We thought it was the better situation at the right time. I think in life we all make decisions sometimes thinking about other people. Sometimes we put ourselves in the back seat instead of the front seat. So that's what we decided to do as a family, and at the end of the day, there were a lot of things pointing in the direction of Texas." He would not be the only quarterback in the Texas 2018 class for Texas, as Cameron Rising flipped from Oklahoma to Texas as well. In 4 years, Casey put up record numbers as he finished number 1 all-time in Oklahoma high school football yardage with 12,840 yards, and Texas fans were super hyped to have him, and scouts were also high on him. According to 24/7 Sports, Thompson was a 4-star recruit, the number 14 dual-threat quarterback, and the 291st best player in the class of 2018. So, how did he do in Austin? When Casey arrived at Texas, he was in a quarterback room that included both Sam Ehlinger and Shane Buechele, so he was set for a redshirt season. After 2018, both Cam Rising and Buechele would enter the portal, so Thompson chose to return to the Longhorns and would end up becoming a backup. In 2019, Thompson would play in 4 total games, finishing with 1 rushing touchdown. In 2020, he became the main backup, and while he played sparingly against both UTEP and Kansas State in the regular season, he'd get an opportunity in the Alamo Bowl. Sam Ehlinger would end up getting hurt, and Casey Thompson's long wait paid off. He ended up completing 8 of 10 passes for 170 yards and 4 touchdowns without an interception. This was in their 55-23 win over Colorado, and this was an absolutely insane game for him. Some were talking about Thompson being the next great Texas quarterback after that, and a dark horse Heisman contender in 2021, and I remember that game vividly. Thompson saw significant playing time in Texas's last 3 games of 2020, finishing with 5 touchdowns and only 6 incomplete passes. That's why many thought going into 2021 he was guaranteed to be the guy. But Texas brought in 2 quarterbacks in both Hudson Card and Jaquinian Jackson, and eventually Card got good enough after his redshirt year to get the starting nod. Card would end up starting their Week 1 game against Louisiana, and after that, said he thought it was fair to give Casey an opportunity, so they were going to let him go and see what would happen. Casey said he hadn't started a game since November 3rd of 2017, so this was a huge deal for him. He said, quote, "I've waited a long time for this opportunity, and I think it's a testament to perseverance and hard work. I thought about transferring, but I said if the starting nod wasn't going to be given to me Week 1, then I'll have to take it for myself." In Casey's first career start, he'd go 15 of 18 for 2 touchdowns. It wasn't a great performance, but he'd follow that up with one of the best performances of his career, as against Texas Tech, he'd throw for 303 yards and 5 touchdowns with another score on the ground. He would struggle against TCU before he put up an insane performance against Oklahoma. He threw for 388 yards and 5 touchdowns, but as we all know, Caleb Williams led Oklahoma to one of the most insane comebacks in college football history, and Texas lost. After that, it sent them on a complete spiral. The Longhorns lost to Oklahoma State, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, and West Virginia, and ended up having a disastrous end of the season. Thompson and Card traded time, and against Kansas, Thompson finished with 7 total touchdowns, 6 of them through the air, but they ended up losing that game to that insane walk-off catch by the fullback. Thompson would finish the 2021 season with 2,113 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. He didn't have a bad season, but with Quinn Ewers coming in, he saw the writing on the wall and decided to enter the transfer portal. He ended up going to Nebraska and would pretty quickly win the starting job. It was a make-or-break year for Scott Frost, and Thompson would get a chance to put his skills on full display in Week 1 in Ireland. Against Northwestern, he threw for 355 yards and had 2 combined touchdowns, but 2 interceptions proved to be costly, and they lost to a horrific Northwestern team in Week 1. In Week 2, Thompson would struggle against North Dakota before, despite having 4 touchdowns against Georgia Southern, they would lose. Frost ended up getting fired, and the season became a dumpster fire. He struggled in his rematch with Oklahoma, had 3 touchdowns and a win over Indiana, and then had 2 scores and a 1-point victory over Rutgers. After that, they lost 3 straight games to Purdue, Illinois, and Wisconsin, before in his final game as a Husker, he'd throw for 3 touchdowns and a win over Iowa. Thompson finished the 2022 season with 2,407 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 10 picks. Once again, not great numbers, and now it looks like he's in the portal again. He's not the only Nebraska quarterback to enter the portal, as Logan Smothers did as well, and it looks like Jeff Sims is going to be the guy that Matt Rule wants there. As Thompson's entered the portal, he brings with him a lot of experience and a lot of yards and touchdowns, but will he have a final year like Adrian Martinez did, or will it be a disappointment? The jury is still out on that, as he still needs to find a school. Right now, pretty much everybody is linking Thompson to Auburn, as the Tigers are under new head coach Hugh Freeze, and it looks like neither Robbie Ashford or TJ Finley are the guy yet, are really that guy, and Holden Gariner isn't there yet, so maybe Thompson comes in right away and starts for the Tigers. I really have no idea, and while I think that would be a pretty decent fit, if I'm an Auburn fan, I'd rather just ride with one of the 3 quarterbacks you already have, and Thompson to me is just a 1-year place-holding quarterback that isn't going to be awful, but isn't going to be elite either. That's just my opinion, but what do you guys think? If you're a Texas or Nebraska fan, what do you think of Casey Thompson, and what went wrong for him while he was there? Where do you think he's going to end up next, and what transfer quarterback should I take a look at next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.